Hello and welcome to Morris Park. I'm Clyde Morris. And this is going to be part of kind of a staging series I've been doing lately of planting up and staging some plants and so forth. And this isn't going to be a staging video. This is just going to be kind of a tabletop tour of some of my stagings and me explaining some of them and so forth. And staging has become kind of a new art in the cactus and succulent world. It's much like bonsai, and I'm not comparing the two totally, but it is a plant art of potting plants and displaying plants. Bonsai being more with trees and such. This is more with our cactus and succulents, our cactus euphorbias and so forth, and that's pretty much what I have out here today is cactus and euphorbias. But I'd like to show you some of my examples, good examples of staging here on this table. It's kind of a tabletop staging tour, and show you how I like to build them up and so forth. You probably watched the last couple of videos of me actually planting and staging up some of my plants. Some of the plants aren't totally staged up. They're just really nice plants and really nice pots, and it shows how it brings out the plant and makes it more eye candy or whatever you want to call it. And what I really like to do with these is do my rock pile style. And I use a lot of rocks in these for the most part, some not so much. I have a couple here with not any. But anyhow, let's get to explaining the staging tour. It looks like I'm getting bugged by a horsefly here. But anyhow, let's get this going on, and I'll show you around some of these plants. Some of them I've really kind of gone over the top with. Some of them not so much. Like I said, some of them won't even have any rocks or anything. They're just displayed in a really nice pot. I have many more than these. I didn't want to bring them all out tonight, so we're just kind of doing a partial staging tour of what I have here, and see how you like them and explain them a little bit. So here we go. Okay, let's take a look at what we have here on the table. As I say, this is just a partial of my collection. I have many more staged plants, but these are some of the nicest ones. Now, two of the most recent here is the Mammillarium etude. That was one of the $4 plants I got at Walmart's clearance. Very nice plants. For $4, it was absolute steal. I made a beautiful staging out of this plant, the rocks and so forth. And this is not so much the rock pile, but very nice. This is the other plant I got for $4. This is a Mammillaria Hahniana. I actually have another one of these, actually a couple that are smaller. One I had for 40 years and actually had to cut the top off of it after 40 years because the bottom had just died out. And I do have it rerooted again. But this was a very nice plant, and for $4 I just had it in my mind what I wanted to do with it. And it made a great staging. Some of these cool rocks. Really awesome plant, $4. Then I kind of supplied the rest. The planter, in fact, both these planters on these plants were not originally pots. This one was like a mixing bowl, a stoneware mixing bowl I got in a flea market, and I just cut a nice hole in the bottom, ground out a nice hole. Having a Dremel makes it really nice to be able to do stuff like that. And this one was actually a piece of dinnerware, like a cereal bowl I bought from Walmart. And you can't see it because I got the top dressing in there so well, but actually they're kind of a red lava color on the inside. But came out real nice in that matte black pot, the cool rocks. Now this one here is another cool one, and this is Euphorbia decarii. Real nice pot I bought down in Springfield. Now you can see this little guy's been blooming. It's got the little tan flowers on it. Much like a crown of thorns flower. They're both from Madagascar. And it's in kind of that complex. But they have the little bracts around the flowers, except these are tan instead of being red or white or such. It came out as a real nice plant, real good staging. Really like that one. Our second plant is Euphorbia murei. It's one of the medusoid euphorbias in the Caput Medusae complex. Came out real nice in this pot, and this was not originally a plant pot for live plants. It was made for actually fake plants, but it still was good stoneware. I had to cut a hole in it. Got that at Hobby Lobby, as a matter of fact. And it's got these curious looking iron ore rocks in them. So that back there. So that made for a little bit of a different kind of stone. Now the one next to it is Euphorbia coalescens. And it's got one of these rocks too that's kind of hollowed out in a curious way. Anyhow, had to stop there for a second. I had a horsefly trying to get a meal off of me. But the little bonsai pot I actually ordered online. It was meant for actually the Decarii, but it just didn't fit it very well, and it didn't last long in it. Was not healthy in that pot, so I changed it out and put the coalescens in it last year. Had some new growth on it. Very cool plant. I got this plant from Alan Peck. He and I have been trading some euphorbias and such over the last couple of years. And this is a real nice cutting that was off of his plant, his large plant. And made a nice little staging subject. Now next to it, this plant here doesn't have any rocks or anything like that, but it is in a really cool pot. And I found this pot at a flea market also. Nice ceramic pot. Look pretty neat. With Euphorbia greenwayii. Now this greenwayii I also got from Alan Peck. Very cool plant. It's gotten a lot of new growth on it recently. You can see down there a lot of new shoots coming out and such. I haven't had a bloom for me yet though. They have really beautiful flowers on them. Kind of yellow with red stigmas in it. Pretty cool. Now the one next to it here is a Mammillary elongata. Something not so rare, but you can find these pretty easily, kind of like Honiana. I got it in this bowl, another flea market bowl. Nice low bowl it's staged up into. Some crushed lava rock and some of our cool limestone rocks from the area. There we go. I got the cactus, I believe, at a farm and home store up in Rolla called the Family Center. And the pot was a flea market pot. I believe I got this in, let me see if I can remember, Phillipsburg. They have a huge flea market there, shop, that it's like a massive warehouse full. But found that. This one here is Corinopuntia invicta, or also known as Grussonia invicta. It's hard to tell which was what and everything on these things. They change the name so much on these. But in this one I've actually used an arrowhead. We find arrowheads in plowed fields and stuff like that, farmers' fields. And these things have been around here for thousands of years. Native American culture was very heavy here in prehistory and such. And many of these arrowheads from different times are found out in these fields and near caves. Very wickedly spiny plant, and it's in my rock pile style. Very spiny, spiny plant. And these plants are distantly related to opuntias. Kind of grow their branches in little segments like that. It's also known as Devil's Club Cholla. Behind it, I've got this really cool Euphorbia horrida, Noorsveldensis. It's in a real nice pot, and believe it or not, this stoneware pot I got at a dollar store for like $4. I had them on sale at the end of the year. I've used some of the cool rocks in it, didn't pile it up so much. And this thing is so wicked looking, it's got thorns on thorns, and I mean they're coming out from everywhere. So the thorns branch out. Pretty wicked looking plant. But finding a nice stoneware pot is pretty cool, being from the dollar store. Now next to it, I've got my Euphorbia horrida, var major, var nova. And the var nova usually means that it hasn't been formally named yet. Didn't quite pile it up. Kind of left some space out there with some crushed lava rock. Got one little flower on this guy. This is a male plant. I love how fat and wide these var majors are. Got this one at Lowe's in St. Robert. And of course, with all the cool rocks. Makes a very awesome display plant. Very cool. Now behind here, we have a Mammillaria tegelbergiana. And I've got it in rock pile style. See all the holy rocks down there, all around. Always like this one. It's a real great bloomer in the spring. Out of all these tufts of wool, there'll be a lot of buds forming. And in the springtime, it'll just explode into these magenta little flowers all over it. There's crowns of it all over these branches. Had this one over 40 years. Got it in California when I lived out there. Beautiful plant. The pot itself, I bought this pot when I first moved here to the Ozarks. And that's been 41 years ago. It's an incredible pot. Bought it at a little hardware store. I actually have a mate to this one also. I bought two of them. But beautiful pot, beautiful plant. Now this is another medusoid euphorbia. And this one is a hybrid from Botanic Wonders. And it was only labeled Euphorbia hybrid, medusoid hybrid, pot I, or listed pot 9. Kind of the same difference. But I've put some fossils and such in here. Kind of around the plant. I got one ammonite fossil in there. Some cool rocks. And it is also in one of these dinnerware bowls that I've got the Haneana in. Bought a few of these and made pots out of them. I really liked them. Make great pots for nice little stagings. Now this is my Euphorbia leneutonii. I got this from Daz and Edith of Cactomania as two cuttings a few years ago. And has grown up fantastic. Looks like living barbed wire. It's in a grassroots nursery pot, which I just got this last weekend and repotted this guy. I actually wanted to do a staging video last week, but it just didn't work out. Had some kind of noisy interference and wasn't able to do it. It made a beautiful staging, the rocks and such. Love these little stoneware pots that Grassroots Nursery has. This was one of the few they had left. It was one of two they had left. The one beside it I'd bought a couple years back. And just did this staging on this Monodenium richii that's next to here. See that? I really like these little stoneware pots. So I went back pretty much to that nursery just to buy that pot. And get another one. I'm glad I did because they looked like they were running out. And these are made actually by J. Ray Pottery. That's out of Marshfield, Missouri. And I've got a few of her pieces that I've turned into pots. These were already actually plant pots, but ones I've turned into pots to use. Really nice pieces. Really like them. Now this plant here is just a nice plant in a nice pot. Simple staging. And this plant here is a Horrida obesa hybrid that was made by Alan Peck. And I put it in this great little pot. I don't know how long it's going to stay in there though, because it's a pretty fat plant. I'd say about a good year at least. But I'll get to enjoy it in this pot. When I planted it, it had plenty of room. This is a beautiful hybrid that he made. And just goes so well with the pot. And that's part of staging. Just kind of syncing things together and making a beautiful piece of artwork out of it. You can kind of see the striping in the plant that kind of resembles the obesa. But then the ribbing that's very Horrida. Very squat like an obesa, shaped like an obesa. Really love this plant. I'm glad Alan sent me this one. He's got several of these hybrids that are just absolutely beautiful. Now next to it is my Euphorbia persistens. And Euphorbia persistens, I bought it down there at Drummond's in DeSoto, Missouri. They have a cactus and succulent nursery out there. It's quite a ways from us. So I've only been there once. In my rock pile style. This is a great Euphorbia. It's one of the dwarf paired spine euphorbias. They also call them a medusoid euphorbia. They're not quite the same as, say, a Mirii or one of these. They're not in the Caput medusae complex. But they call them a medusoid because of the fact that they grow from one central growing point from a caudex. And I can't really see the caudex down here, but it's kind of in the rocks there. But they do produce a caudex. And maybe in the future I will be lifting it up to expose the caudex a little. So you'll see something more like that. Nonetheless, this is one of my favorites of the stagings I've done. I really love this one. It's Euphorbia persistens. Beautiful plant. Just all the way around, a beautiful plant. Now right next to it here is what I call my Euphorbia Evansii bonsai. And the reason I call it that is this was actually a main stem branch off my big tree. I have a big tree of these. And it came from that. Now, if you just cut one of these branches off and root it, what you're going to have to do eventually is, after it roots, you'd have to cut it about 1 inch to 2 inches above the soil, about 2 inches above the soil, and wait for new shoots to come out to form a natural tree. Otherwise, this branch just gets longer and longer and longer and longer and doesn't do anything to make any kind of a tree. But if you take a main stem cutting, and you can see the main stems actually have 5 or 6 ribs on them instead of just the 3, then you've got it made. You don't have to do any recutting or anything like that. No two-step method. They call that the two-step method. Usually you root a branch, then you have to recut to get the normal plant. And it's that way on a lot of plants like these that have a central main stem. But if you got a plant that produces many main stems on it like this tree did, then you can actually cut from that and get a ready-made tree. And this wasn't even rooted when I planted it in here. When I planted this in here, I cut it off the tree, dried it, made sure it was dry and callous for a couple of weeks, and I just stuck it directly in here, put the soil to it and the rocks, and then just let it sit like that and let it root on its own. And it spent the winter just kind of doing its own thing. And then finally this spring, I knew it was rooted when it started growing out, and you can see this is all new growth right here. Total success. Much like a little bonsai tree. Kind of like the persistence also. But very cool. Last, I have a Gymnoclycium saglionis staging. Now the big one I had actually in a pot by itself, and these other three were in a pot with each other. And I bought all these at Walmart at one time or another. Now I found this low tray. Actually, I didn't find this one, if I remember right. My wife's stepsister actually found this tray. And actually the one the Evansy Eye is in also. She finds these at flea markets, and she actually picked them up for me. Very cool. I like these low stoneware containers for this, and all I got to do is grind the holes in the bottom with my Dremel. Make nice little round holes. But I love this rock pile in this one. This is one of my favorites too as far as cactus go. I don't usually put any crystals or anything like that in them that are too big, because I don't want to distract from the plant. You put a crystal, big crystal in something, and people go, oh wow, look at the crystal, and they kind of look over the plant. But I do have small crystal formation stuff that I will put with them, because they don't get too standoutish. But as you look at the entire picture, you can kind of see it, and it kind of blends together, makes a beautiful setting. Really awesome. Anyhow, that's my tour for this evening. Hope you all enjoyed this tour of all these beautifully staged plants. As I say, I have more, but bringing all these out here is kind of a job. And it's very, very hot today. I'm just sweating buckets right now. Just all beautiful stagings. Very much an art that I love to do and will keep doing. The only other thing I'll say about these stagings is they may be a little more difficult when you go to repot them and such, of course, because you got to remove all this stuff, and it's not like having a nice little Spartan plastic pot or just a plain old terracotta pot where you can just slide them out and be done with it and repot it and go on. There is quite a deal with this. You do have to kind of disassemble them and to repot them, but for me that's kind of the fun. Anyhow, this is Clyde Morris from Morris Park. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, a wonderful weekend. I hope you enjoyed the video on these wonderful plants. Take care.